English Politics Podcast.
English Politics Podcast.
English Politics Podcast. Hello, and welcome to the English Politics Podcast, where we bring you in-depth discussions, exclusive insights, and interviews with the world's most influential figures shaping today's political landscape. I'm your host, Ms. Amanda Carter, and I'm thrilled to have you join us for this very special episode. Today, we delve into a subject that has captured the world's attention and sparked countless debates: the rise and leadership of Abu Muhammad al-Jolani, one of the most prominent and controversial figures in the Middle East. He is known as the leader of Hay'at Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, a powerful organization in Syria's tumultuous political and military environment. Our guest this evening is none other than Abu Muhammad al-Jolani himself. His name evokes a wide range of reactions, from staunch opposition to curious fascination, so we are grateful to have this rare opportunity to hear directly from him about his views, strategies, and vision. Before we begin, I want to remind our listeners that this interview is aimed at fostering understanding and discussion, regardless of one's personal opinions or beliefs. The questions we'll ask are designed to provide a deeper look into the mind of a figure often discussed, but rarely understood. So, let's start. Abu Muhammad al-Jolani, welcome to the English Politics Podcast.
Thank you, Ms. Carter, for having me. This is a unique opportunity, and I appreciate the chance to share my perspectives with your audience.
Thank you for joining us. To begin, the audience might wonder about your journey and how you came to be a central figure in one of the most complex and volatile regions of the world. As we proceed with this conversation, I hope to uncover the layers of your story, your motivations, strategies, and vision for the future. So let's get started. You've led HTS through a period of significant transformation. But before we dive into that, I'd like to ask a foundational question. How do you define your leadership and your movement's purpose in Syria? Your leadership of Hay'at Tahrir al-Sham has been a subject of intense global debate. Some see HTS as a local resistance movement fighting against oppression, while others label it as an extremist organization. How do you define the purpose of HTS under your leadership?
HTS exists to protect the Syrian people and their right to self-determination. From the beginning, our mission has been to defend civilians from the brutality of the Assad regime, which has used every means, chemical weapons, indiscriminate bombings, and mass detentions, to silence dissent. We stand for justice and the establishment of a system that reflects the will of the people. While critics may attempt to categorize us negatively, it's crucial to understand that HTS operates with discipline and a clear focus on creating stability in a region that has been torn apart by war.
You've emphasized creating local governance structures in territories under your control. How do you see these governance efforts evolving? And what challenges do you face in implementing them?
Local governance is essential to rebuilding the social and economic fabric of Syria. Our focus has been on providing basic services, such as healthcare, education, and infrastructure, in regions devastated by years of conflict. These efforts face significant challenges, including limited resources, international sanctions, and ongoing conflict with the Assad regime. Despite these obstacles, our commitment remains firm. We believe that sustainable governance must be rooted in transparency and community involvement, ensuring that the voices of the people guide decision-making.
The international community views HTS with skepticism, particularly due to its past associations and military actions. How do you address concerns about extremism and your organization's role in global politics?
The perception of HTS as an extremist organization is outdated and does not reflect our current position. Over time, we have undergone significant ideological and strategic evolution, focusing on local governance and the Syrian people's welfare rather than global agendas. We recognize the importance of dialogue with the international community to clarify our objectives and dispel misunderstandings. My hope is that through actions, not just words, we can demonstrate our commitment to stability and a better future for Syria.
Looking forward, what is your vision for Syria in the next decade? And what role do you see HTS playing in achieving that vision?
Syria's future lies in unity, resilience, and rebuilding. My vision is for a country free from oppression, where every citizen can live with dignity, security, and opportunity. HTS aims to be a catalyst for this transformation by fostering local empowerment, rebuilding infrastructure, and ensuring that justice prevails over tyranny. While the path ahead is fraught with challenges, I firmly believe that through collective effort and determination, we can lay the foundation for a stable and prosperous Syria.
Story: Inside the mind of Abu Muhammad al-Jolani. The room was dimly lit, its walls adorned with fading maps of the Middle East. It was here, in a nondescript building on the outskirts of Idlib, that I sat face-to-face with Abu Muhammad al-Jolani. Known to many as the enigmatic leader of Hay'at Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, his name carried weight across battlefields and diplomatic corridors alike. But today, he was not the symbol of a movement or a leader of militias. He was a man sharing his story. Leadership in conflict zones, al-Jolani began, is a responsibility unlike any other. Every decision has immediate consequences. A wrong step, and thousands could suffer. As he spoke, his voice was steady, almost reflective. He detailed his upbringing, weaving a narrative of a young man shaped by his environment. Born in Syria, he witnessed firsthand the struggles of a nation yearning for freedom. The oppressive weight of the Assad regime left scars on the people, fostering a climate of desperation. In the beginning, I was an observer, he said, his gaze distant. But observation turned to action as the Arab Spring ignited hope across the region. The people's calls for freedom were met with brutality. I could not stand idle while my country burned. The path to leadership. His journey to leadership, as he explained it, was not planned but born out of necessity. Al-Jolani recounted the early days of the Syrian civil war, a chaotic time when countless groups with disparate ideologies emerged. He found himself drawn to the cause of resistance, a movement he described as rooted in justice and the protection of civilians. Leadership was thrust upon me, he said, his expression softening. I was not the most experienced or the most knowledgeable, but I was determined. People followed because they believed in the cause, not just in me. Under his guidance, HTS transformed from a loose coalition of fighters into one of the most formidable forces in Syria. But this transformation was not without its challenges. Al-Jolani spoke of difficult decisions, alliances forged and broken, and the constant threat of betrayal. The world views us through a simplistic lens, he said. But the reality is far more complex. We have had to navigate a labyrinth of local dynamics, foreign interests, and internal struggles. Survival required adaptation, and adaptation required sacrifice. Evolving ideology. One of the most intriguing aspects of our conversation was his account of HTS's ideological evolution. Critics often labeled the group as extremist, a claim al-Jolani addressed directly. HTS was never static, he explained. We began with a focus on resistance, but over time, we realized the importance of governance and stability. The people needed more than fighters. They needed schools, hospitals, and a sense of normalcy. This realization forced us to reevaluate our priorities. He detailed the establishment of local governance structures in areas under HTS control, describing efforts to provide essential services amidst the chaos of war. These initiatives, he claimed, were driven by a commitment to the welfare of the Syrian people. Our goal, he said, has always been to serve the people. Governance is not about power, it is about responsibility. We have made mistakes, as all leaders do, but our intentions have always been to protect and empower. The international perspective. Our conversation shifted to the global stage, where al-Jolani's name often sparks controversy. He acknowledged the skepticism surrounding HTS and its role in the conflict, but insisted that the group's actions were misunderstood. The international community views us through the prism of past associations, he said. But HTS is not the same organization it was years ago. We have evolved, focusing on local governance and distancing ourselves from global agendas. Our struggle is not global, it is Syrian. Al-Jolani expressed frustration with the lack of dialogue between HTS and international actors, suggesting that open communication could lead to greater understanding. "We are not seeking approval," he said firmly. "But if the world truly wants peace in Syria, they must engage with all stakeholders, including us. Ignoring us will not make us disappear." The human cost of war. As our conversation deepened, al-Jolani's tone became more somber. He spoke of the human cost of the Syrian conflict, families displaced, children orphaned, and entire communities destroyed. "War is never the ideal solution," he admitted. "But sometimes, it is the only option left. The people of Syria have suffered more than words can express. Our duty is to ensure that their sacrifices are not in vain." He shared stories of individuals he had met over the years: a teacher who continued to educate children in the midst of bombings, a doctor who worked tirelessly in makeshift clinics, and countless civilians who demonstrated resilience in the face of unimaginable hardship. "These people," he said, his voice tinged with admiration, "are the true heroes of Syria. They are the reason we continue to fight, to rebuild, and to hope. A vision for the future." Toward the end of our conversation, I asked al-Jolani about his vision for Syria's future. His response was measured but hopeful. "Syria must rise from the ashes," he said. "This will require unity, compromise, and a shared commitment to justice. HTS will play its part, but the ultimate goal is to empower the Syrian people to shape their own destiny." He emphasized the need for rebuilding not just infrastructure, but also trust among communities divided by years of conflict. "Reconciliation will not be easy," he admitted, "but it is necessary. We must learn from the past while looking toward the future. Syria's strength lies in its people, and together, we can overcome even the greatest challenges." The man behind the leader. As our conversation concluded, I was struck by the complexity of the man sitting across from me. Abu Muhammad al-Jolani is a figure shaped by war, driven by conviction, and burdened by the weight of leadership. While his actions and beliefs remain polarizing, his narrative offers a glimpse into the intricate realities of one of the world's most enduring conflicts. The room fell silent as al-Jolani leaned back in his chair, his gaze steady. "History will judge us all," he said finally. "My hope is that it will judge us fairly." With that, he stood, extending a hand in farewell. As I left the building and stepped into the cool Syrian night, I couldn't help but reflect on the layers of complexity that define both the man and the conflict he represents. This story provides a comprehensive look at Abu Muhammad al-Jolani's journey, leadership, and vision, woven together with a balanced and humanized perspective. Let me know if you need additional refinements. Thank you, Abu Muhammad al-Jolani, for sharing your insights and vision with us. This has been a truly enlightening conversation, offering our listeners a rare glimpse into your perspective on leadership, governance, and Syria's future. To our audience, thank you for joining us for this thought-provoking episode of the English Politics Podcast. If you found this discussion insightful, please consider supporting our channel by subscribing, liking this video, and sharing it with others who value in-depth political analysis. Your support helps us continue to bring you exclusive interviews, expert commentary, and balanced perspectives on the topics that shape our world. Don't forget to follow us daily for more engaging conversations. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.